think you need to get to that point sometimes where you go, maybe my dreams aren't going to be fulfilled in this area code, you know?
Yeah,
Sometimes,
100%.
you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
It's all great. You look around your universe and you're like, you realize your universe is a lot bigger than this if you're just willing to buy a plane ticket and go elsewhere. And so when I did that, everything kind of opened up for me.
He's James Collins.
He is Alec Cranston, and this is the Matter of Fax podcast. The Matter of Fax podcast brings you the unsung heroes, the unsung stories, news and happenings from across our wonderful city that you maybe thought happened but didn't quite know the truth behind.
And get you all in the loop on what's going on, what's to come, and what can we be prepared for. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 5 of Matter of Fax. I am joined in the studio here with my, I'll say it, esteemed co-host, Mr. James Collins, looking tan and as fresh as ever.
I've been down in the US soaking up the UV rays as a Welsh Canadian in the US.
Amazing.
It's a very interesting cocktail right now. Produces some good conversations, yeah.
Wow. I'm excited to be back in the studio. It's been a while. Between you and I and our work and travel, it's been a while since we've actually recorded an episode.
The ladies was the last time, right?
Ladies was the last time because it went Paul, then the ladies, and then a big break just because of travel and work. And now we're here, and we're actually going to bang out a few here soon. We got some really good guests lined up. We have a really good guest that's here today. He's not here yet. He'll be coming in here soon. So I'm pretty excited. Matter of Fact is getting heated up for the summer.
I'm excited.
Yeah.
Well, let me just give some context to everyone listening. So we're recording this in almost the middle of February, and we opened the door to snow this morning. To snow, don't you know? So, if you're listening locally, think back to a couple of weeks ago, by the time you hear this, and it snowed. And we were just talking outside, and Connor, producer Connor, you can chime in here. So you did remind us of something, which is what? What do we forget every year?
Well, I'll actually start by saying that it's unfortunately April and not February.
What did I just say?
You did say February, but we'll let it go. Did you know that it snowed in April last year and the year before and basically every...
That's a pattern.
The thing is that we've noticed is that there's a fake out period somewhere during the earlier part of April, latter part of March, where things get nicer and we think, oh, this is really it. And that's where I think we all, as a society, suffer collective amnesia as to the fact that it did snow in April the year prior. So every time it's a surprise.
Yeah. I don't like that. What do you think of it? You're a homeowner now. You worry more about snow because the landlord doesn't clear it for you, right? Or are you a yuppie with a home on a snow removal contract?
No, we have our street has I don't know who comes down it. They do an okay job of paving a cow path enough, and then whatever work I do with the driveway just gets undone by them. But it is what it is. We're also going to put the snow.
Oh, good. The plows come and built the wall.
Yeah, they built the wall for me. I do miss having a landlord do it for me. That's one thing I miss about living in the apartments that we lived in Halifax, having a parkade in the winter and not having to worry about snow removal at all. But
do you want me to come and clear your snow for you? Would you like me to?
I would actually love that.
Well, I'm not. I can barely clear my own.
No, okay, no. But there's a lot of other benefits, and sometimes it is, it's satisfying to shovel out your own driveway. Only for another. This is during the heat of winter, the height of winter. We'll call it the height of winter. When you clear out your driveway, and then 2 hours later, boom, a whole new
You stand back and you go, well, that was a job well done.
I've earned myself a beer.
Responsible homeowner. Holy shit, it's still falling. And yeah, you go and have a shower. And that's what I do. I go and have a shower and I come back out and I'm like, well, I got to effing shovel again.
Yeah.
You want to jump into Insane as the Crane? Because we have a banger this month which wrote itself.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's get right into Insane as the Crane.
Insane as the Crane. Insane as the Crane. Kinda insane like the crane.
Alec, when is the last time that you plotted to steal or rob a store in the back of a mall? You decided the best time to do it would be the middle of the day. The best item to go after was sunglasses, and you would do it all considering you're in a very unnatural athletic state. When's the last time you had that thought process?
Besides the impulse I had last week when I really wanted a pair of shades, I take that out because I ended up backing out and I chickened out. So, no, other than that, I can't think of the last time I thought about doing something that ludicrous.
Well, that was the blueprint for a very shitty robber in Halifax. You love the video. You've seen the
I've
video.
seen the video,
Everyone's seen it. So for the benefit of the people who don't live locally, we will have this in the show notes. This was a dude. I mean, let's put it this way. Alec and I will play the video. We'll sort of narrate the video to you, and then we'll pull it apart.
Yes.
Let me just
Absolutely.
put my...
Okay. Oh, there
Okay,
it is.
so we start with this is a cell phone video from another random bypasser in McMacMole.
Yeah.
Alex. So you start telling us what happens here.
The individual is being roughed up by a security guard at the entrance of Sunglass Hut. We got a pretty shaky camera situation going on here. Oh, there's a tussle going on. You got a bag. And oh, he's running. He's off. He got a red hoodie on. He's taking off towards the escalators. And here comes security
he's
guard
down on the floor.
And he got him. Oh, what a football
Wipe
move.
out.
Security guard comes in clutch. Oh, here we go. He's on the ground. And security guard has the bag, and off scoots
He's got the goods.
the robber. The robber is now gone.
He's going down the
security
up escalator. This is the important point. The escalator he chose to run down. There were two choices. He chose to run down the up escalator.
Wow, I actually didn't notice that.
Yeah, he
I
runs
did not
down.
notice
He
that.
didn't go on the other side. The easiest route not possible. This dude's a true athlete.
Oh, there he goes. Desperate times, desperate measure. He's running. He's not going top speed though. But I think the main goal of the security guard there was to get the bag back. God knows what was in there. Wow, what a replay. It's nice to see a robber like that lose. But I'd be curious to know how how the security guard was able to get there and intercept him. Like, he must have been in the store and they caught him putting them in his bag.
He was looking shady.
He was.
I just thought of that
All right,
one.
that's it for me.
I didn't even come in
Thank
with
you
that.
guys.
I
Thank
just
you for
thought
coming
of
to
that.
Matter of Fax. We'll see you in episode 6.
They always say that in these situations you shouldn't confront the robber. They could have a knife.
You never know.
A gun. I think looking at that guy and the way he conducts himself, it's a fair assessment. Maybe we should confront him. So that was good. Running down the up escalator to me was just the best thing. And the comments online, whereas we have canned Reddit Roundup and we didn't want this to become Reddit Roundup.
No.
I did want to mention like all the people that were saying he's running like he's in a dream, dream running, where you go nowhere. He's running like he's in Jello. The dude is about the least built for a getaway robber that you could get. And in my day, when I was a robber, you trained for the escape. You wore appropriate footwear. You trained, up to 60 hours a week with your trainer.
Yeah.
So when we executed the job, we did it properly. But, Alec will probably tell us now, we're in our 30s. The robbers just don't do it like today, like we did in our day, did they?
I'm not in my 30s yet.
You're not. That's
I'm
true.
very close.
I'm almost out of my 30s.
That's true. You don't look it though, man. Trust me. I'm not even joking around. I actually turned 28 on Sunday, so I'm not in my 30s yet. I'm getting close.
We missed the birthday?
Well, technically when this episode comes out, my birthday will have passed, but my birthday is coming up this Sunday.
Okay, good. Because I was going to say, so we internally within Cushman & Wakefield track birthdays, so it's this Sunday.
It's this Sunday.
I say if it was last Sunday, we'd have to rewrite the protocol.
No.
We'd need to go and rob a Sunglass Hut and then rewrite the protocol.
No,
Okay.
it's this coming Sunday.
Or rewrite the standard operating procedure. This is what happens in Cushman & Wakefield on a birthday. We have a third-party company. They're based in New York City that we contract birthday notifications to. They're called Birth Tech. We then have somebody, they track everything. On the birthday, they get up early and they jump on the plane in JFK. And then they go to Cheryl White, our office manager, and they remind her. Mm-hmm. And then she stops whatever she's doing, and then she sends an email out to everyone else.
How else would you tell her? That's
so we used to track them internally, but we've started sending birthday notifications out to this company. Costs us millions of dollars a year. It's very reliable.
That's why we're one of the best. That's
One
one
of
of
the
our only real estate plugs. We're one of the best.
But this guy wasn't.
He was not. I think he was one of those intrusive thoughts took over. He might have thought about doing it, and he kind of thought,
The sunglasses.
yeah, this might be easy. I might be able to do this. It's funny because at that Sunglass Hut, I don't know when it was, would have been a few months ago, a woman accidentally stole a pair of sunglasses. I shouldn't say stole.
Whoops, they were on my head.
Yeah, older lady, and she put them on her head, and she walked out. Now, the workers were like, oh, it must have been an accident, and then the lady, they eventually tracked her down. I was like, I don't know, man. That might be no accident. That's just a more clever way of going about it than the guy, the non-athletic, intrusive thought dreamwalker that thought he could get...
The Dreamwalker, that's his name.
That's his name, the Dreamwalker. Well, that was insane as the crane, and as always, it was insane as the crane. We're now going to move into our next segment, a new one to this season called Harbor of Lies. those who haven't been here before, this is where one of us will come up with a story. Whether it's true or not is up for interpretation to the other guy, who's going to ask a series of questions, around 5 questions, to try and decipher if it's real or not. And so far, I don't know what the score is, James, and who's up and who's down.
I used to know that the order of I said it was true and you were right, but I've lost it.
It's okay.
But I have to tell you, this month's is true, because that's my job, is to try to
There it
it's
is.
true.
And because of that line he just said, it is James's turn. He is giving me the story, and I'm going to grill him on it.
Got a whopper for you this month.
Let's hear it.
Cranston. Okay, so I have to claim that my story is true.
Okay.
And Alec can ask me some questions. Bullshit. And here we go. So,
Game begin.
this month's story is as follows. One of Bill Clinton's best friends, President Bill Clinton,
Yes.
one of his best friends lives in Bedford, and he frequently spends time in his house. That is my claim, which I
it?
claim to be true.
Bill Clinton has a friend, lives in Bedford, and Bill Clinton frequently spends time in his house.
Correct. And I'm putting
Okay.
my best poker face
Okay,
on
sure.
here. Okay, so your job now is to try to peel back layers of the onion, and off you go.
Okay.
Because
Before
it's
we get
true,
too
'cause it's
deep,
true.
can I get your best bill from each of you guys?
My fellow Americans, I'll tell you, man, I did go to Bedford to visit my friend from time to time. My friend's name was Mr. James Collins, and did he ever treat me right? You know, he was a good lad. Oh, where are my sunglasses, honey? Oh, someone stole them. Oh, good for him. Red hoodie. All right.
This is hilarious. It's not me. I can't do a Bill Clinton. That was Alec. Would
Not
you
bad.
believe
Was
that?
it not bad?
So we actually never need to get Bill Clinton.
This is me
on the
realizing I'm pretty good at
podcast.
Bill Clinton.
Yeah, we never need to get him on. We'll just have you. So to the story, and I'll reiterate.
Sorry.
One of Bill Clinton's best friends lives in Bedford, and he's frequently visited him. So over to Alec.
Okay. When was the last time you visited him? Do you know?
That I don't know,
Okay.
but I am aware of multiple historical visits.
Okay.
And I'll tell you what happens is they fly Bill Clinton comes to Halifax. They fly him in a helicopter pretty discreetly to this gentleman's home.
In Bedford.
In Bedford. And they hang out.
Okay.
Play on the golf simulator is the one story I heard. And then they do stuff and then he leaves. So
Okay.
typical presidential visit, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Is he physically in the home? Like Bill Clinton himself is physically in the home?
Bill Clinton is physically in the
He's in
home,
there.
and this
You could
house
touch him.
would be, as the crow flies, less than a kilometer from my home. And the story I claim to be true is that you only ever find out after the fact. And I've been like, holy crap, Bill Clinton was less than a kilometer from me this weekend, or last weekend, or last month.
So where did you come to know this? Who gave you this information?
I came to know this information because I read this information online.
Wow, what an answer. That was very political, and you smiled throughout it, but I don't know. You could have read it online.
And the gentleman who he is friends with once hinted at it in a keynote speech.
Can you
I'll say that.
Okay, can you say who that is then?
I'm going to give the name that I claim this person to be,
Okay.
which may be real or not, after the fact.
Oh, you won't say it now.
I will not say it now. No,
Okay.
because I either don't have a name or I feel it will spoil it. This is part of the game.
I feel like you're throwing a wrench in it. Okay. And you said Bill Clinton. Is there another guy named Bill Clinton, or is it President Bill Clinton? It's him.
This is President
not some
Bill
other guy
Clinton.
named Bill Clinton.
This is President Bill Clinton. Who's in the studio right now.
I don't remember going to Bedford.
It's important to get away from the old ball.
Oh, we got two Bill Clintons in there.
All right.
I'm going to Bedford.
I think you guys are pretty cool.
Sorry, I'm going to be honest. I don't know who has the better impression here.
That was funny. Oh, man, we could just do this all day. Just
The
do
last thing
impressions.
most people want is two Bill Clintons in their life.
Oh, no. Do you know when he first came to Bedford and visited his friend? Like, was it for a work purpose? I guess that's two questions.
No, I can answer it. Those facts I have not uncovered
Like, would he have came for the summit? Is that where he would have when he
for
first?
the summit.
wasn't there a summit downtown at one point?
Oh, there was the big G7 summit in the
Yeah.
90s. I don't know that. I am aware of a visit that took place about 4 years ago, maybe a little bit longer.
4 years ago, so right around COVID time. Guy like
I think
that.
maybe before COVID.
Yeah, now you're getting a little dicey there. I mean, I'm pretty close to guessing because I don't really know. Like, you read it online, so you don't have much info. I'm gonna Google. I mean, you're obviously gonna, once this all plays out, we're gonna find out the truth. My next question was gonna be, where does he fly into? Is it YHZ, or is he flying into a private strip somewhere that somebody owns?
From what I understand, he flies into Halifax, and the gentleman that he visits has the provision and land for a helicopter to land on the environs of the home.
Over in Bedford. So he's like, oh, okay, all right, whatever. All right, I'm gonna guess because I need to know
can we
the
build
answer.
some suspense here?
Yeah.
Alec, do you believe that Bill Clinton has a very close friend in Bedford who he has been known to frequently visit? Is that the truth, or does it exist in the Harbor of Lies?
That's a lie.
It's true.
No, shut up, man. What do you mean it's true?
It's true. Okay, so Fred George, have you ever seen Fred George speak?
No, I haven't.
So he's a very, very famous local philanthropist and businessman. He made his money in the mining industry, mostly in Mexico, and he's been a huge philanthropist and donator to the Clinton Foundation. So a number of years ago, President Bill Clinton made him sat on the board of directors for the Clinton Foundation. They both share a huge passion for golf. So Fred George, if you Google him online, he owns 2 very large houses, villas, I suppose they would be, at the end of Shore Drive. And there's a helicopter pad on one of them. And Bill Clinton, anytime he's known to be in Eastern Canada or down in the Maine area, has been known to stop in. There's photographs, if you go online, of them outside Fred George's home. And we were made aware of a visit a couple of days after it wrapped up a couple of years ago. And we were like, wow, but Bill Clinton was like less than a kilometer from our home. Connor, did you know this?
I would say this is a new one for me. I'm not surprised in that I've heard about the like rich people islands off the coast of Nova Scotia that like Oprah and whoever the hell owns.
Exactly. Yeah.
So this to me, I've always heard stories of the rich, famous, and fabulous kind of vacationing in Nova Scotia. So there's a part of me which is surprised, and yet there's a part of me which is in no way whatsoever surprised.
It's an interesting story, and it's really the simple fact of it is Fred George, who is an honorary captain in the Canadian Navy. He's a massive philanthropist. He made a lot of money in mining and just happens to be a donor to the Clinton Foundation. So him and Bill have had a very strong friendship. If you go online, there's photos of them in Bedford together. It's pretty fascinating. Now, I know this because I saw Fred George speak a couple of years ago at an entrepreneurs summit in Halifax, and he didn't go too deep into it, but he mentioned you may be aware that I have very close ties to Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton has been a guest at my home many times, and I ran home and Googled it. He's also had Tony Blair at his home, the former British Prime Minister. So he's...
That's a good Harbor of Lies. I'll give you
like that one?
Because I could have went either way. Like, I thought it was so simple. The only reason I didn't say yes was because I couldn't believe I never heard of it. Maybe I have, and I stuck it in the back of my head and brushed it off. I couldn't believe I never. That's a pretty big thing. If Bill Clinton visits a buddy here, like, you hear about famous guys that helicopter into Cabot and golf there and then leave. But and that's a bit different. But knowing that, I don't know. Very good. That's a very good one. You won that one. That was good. I assumed it was BS just because I thought you were going with a simple take. And then I thought you were
so simple it was true.
I know. I thought you were eventually going to say like, yeah, and he watches TV every night, every month with a Bill Clinton speech or something like that, or he's got a Bill Clinton painting or something like that. But no.
Mr. Bill Clinton himself in Bedford, and of course you don't know when it's happening because it's not as if they're
I'm
like
just gonna wait around.
He's coming here on Friday. These things are very clandestine. He kind of swoops in. If you go to Fred George's home and you look on Google Maps, you can see that he's got a helicopter pad literally on the side of the basin, and in he goes. They have some cigars. They play the golf simulator and they chit chat, and then he goes out again. So anyway, that was that. Another successful Harbor of Lies.
Very good one.
Your turn next week, next month, my friend.
Well, that was another great Harbor of Lies. Once again, thank you for that one, James. But our guest, we've just been told, has arrived. Oh, there he is. All right, let's bring him in. This is going to be a wicked interview. Lots to talk about with this guy. Bring it on. Well, we are joined today in the studio by a very special guest, Mr. Trent McClellan. He's a stand-up comedian, writer, podcaster, and actor who's known for being a cast member of 22 Minutes, one of the most infamous shows in the Maritimes and across Canada. From that show, he is a 3-time Canadian Screen Award winner. He has his own podcast. He's performed at various comedy festivals, such as Just for Laughs, the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, which we definitely want to ask about, and the Halifax Comedy Festival, which is next month, and we'll also talk about that. Trent has his comedy special, Worry Muffins, coming out May 1st of this year on YouTube, so we'll be able to catch that, and we'll talk about that shortly here. Trent, thanks for coming on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, man. Excited to be here.
Super thrilled. So I mentioned in the intro, you're originally from Corner Brook, Newfoundland.
Correct.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but you reside mainly in Calgary, Alberta now. Comedy has literally taken you across Canada. What would you say kind of got you your start into comedy? Was there a person, an inspiration, maybe a comedy club you tried out one time? Just what gave you that, I want to go at this thing and give it a go?
Wow, that's a big question. I was the prototypical class clown, like I was the person holding court at recess, lunchtime, just because I was like a black kid growing up in an all-white town. So I was the center of attention, whether I wanted to be or not, Grandparents raised me. Like I couldn't have been more different. So I kind of always kind of deep down realized like my journey is going to be a little bit different than everybody else's.
Yeah.
And I had normal jobs. I was in the real world. I went to university, graduated, had jobs working with kids in like community service type programming, after school type programming. And I moved to Calgary in 2003, went to an amateur night. I always wanted to try stand-up comedy. My friends had always said, dude, you should try it. You're a funny guy. But Newfoundland, we didn't have a comedy scene. There were no comedy clubs at all there when I lived there. So I go to Calgary. I go, man, I'm going to sign up for an amateur night. And luckily I went, and it went well. And I was like, nice. Oh man, this could be a thing. Like there's real comedians who I could talk to, and they're doing it for a living, and they're going to share some advice and some expertise. And then I was hooked. I was like, this has to be the thing. Like I want to leave the real world and never look back and just go do this for a living. And that was it. I was hooked. That was it.
So you would say it started kind of in Calgary. Like you got the interest in Newfoundland, realized you couldn't really have that start there. You had to go elsewhere to do it. Is that what brought you to Calgary?
Yeah, because I realized I kind of hit the wall there in terms of what I wanted to do with my life. I wasn't quite sure what it was yet. I just knew it wasn't there at the moment. And I think you need to get to that point sometimes where you go, maybe my dreams aren't going to be fulfilled in this area code,
Yeah,
Sometimes,
100%.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
It's all great. You look around your universe and you're like, you realize your universe is a lot bigger than this if you're just willing to buy a plane ticket and go elsewhere. And so when I did that, everything kind of opened up for me, you know? But deep down as a kid, I was like, I watched Eddie Murphy's Delirious, for example. And I was like, this is the funniest thing I've ever seen in my life. And so to laugh that hard feels amazing. But I also thought to make someone else laugh that hard would be amazing, or a group of people or thousands of people. So that was always a seed planted in the back of my mind. But I always tell people, it's like being an astronaut. Like being a comedian was just something on my television. I was like, there's no way you could do that for a job. That's not real. That's the Tonight Show or Letterman or Eddie Murphy doing his thing. It just wasn't tangible. It wasn't touchable to me until I moved to a place that had a comedy scene, had a comedy club. I'm like, oh, these are real comedians doing it. And then it felt like something you could actually achieve.
I can do this thing.
Yeah.
I like that.
I think comedy to me is a bit like professional golf in the sense that when we see people performing, it looks so easy, right? And I think what I try to acknowledge, and I think it's hard to see, is the really hard graft that goes on. And the real work it takes, that you don't just show up on stage and make people laugh. That is the product of a heck of a lot of planning and a lot of trial and error. And I'm sure that's a journey that you've been through. But let's sort of look at pinnacles here. So you opened for Jerry Seinfeld at the Great Outdoors Comedy Festival. So what is that transition like, where obviously you're trying to work to make this thing real? And then you're stood in the wings knowing that you're about to open for a guy like Jerry Seinfeld. What is it like when you get that call? How does it feel before you stepped out? I'm sure there was a lot of deep breaths and maybe some other stuff going on that you don't want to talk about.
Yeah, I just rolled out of bed, walked in there.
Yeah.
All right.
We'll do it.
Jerry Seinfeld tonight? Yeah, okay. Hey, how's it going, Jerry? Excuse me.
You called him Jerry or just Jay?
Yeah. I go, hey, what's up, boss? No, no, you're right. Like it's like being an athlete, as you said. It's like there's so much work done in the dark that no one sees, right? It's like you start with an idea, and then that idea, you see how long that idea can be funny. So maybe it's a minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes. You're building your act in like these 5-minute bricks, trying to get to 60 minutes eventually, right? To be headliner, so to speak. So that starts from the get-go. You're just trying to build slowly over time. And the goal ultimately is that you want to be able to deliver and feel like you're confident up there every single time, knowing that the industry owes you nothing. No one cares about how much work you've done or not done. At the end of the day, it's about you making the audience laugh. That's all it's about. There's no board sitting around going, we're the board of comedy. We will decide this year who gets the spoils and who gets what. It's not fair at all. There's no fairness in it. Much like sports, where you train so hard, only one team wins a championship. Everybody else also wanted to win a championship and trained really hard. They didn't get the thing. So you realize there's no fairness in it. So once you park that, I was lucky because early on I just enjoyed the craft of making something funny. Like I have an idea, I think there's something funny in it. Can I frame it and word it in a way that will get strangers to relate to it and connect to it? I love that from the get-go. I'd sit in coffee shops for hours with just a legal pad and have an idea there, and I'd just mess around with it and mess around with words and go, oh, that might be it. That might unlock it. I'll try that tonight. Go on stage, try it. They got it. They didn't get that other line. Okay, change that line. Like that kind of meticulous adjusting of things, you know? And the longer you're in it, the more you learn about what doesn't work or why it didn't work. Oh, I was too early in my set, or I was kind of angry when I said that. I should be more playful, or I should whisper that. There's all these things. Just like having a car for the first time and it breaks down. You're like, I don't know why it broke down, what the issue is. Then over time you realize, oh, there's stuff I can check. There's things I can tinker with to make it work better. So we're backstage, it's an interesting story. So out Great Outdoors Comedy Festival, there's like 10,000 people there, which will be the biggest crowd I've played for. And you're sitting there in the tent, hanging out. Jerry's road manager comes in and meets everybody. He's like, hey, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. And I'm like, hey, man. He's like, thanks for doing this. Saw some clips, really funny. I go, oh, thank you. And then I kind of just got lost in my own world, going over my set list and stuff. And then out of the corner of my eye, I see these really shiny dress shoes walking across the plywood that was just on the ground because it had been raining earlier that day. And I look up, and it's Jerry Seinfeld walking in this like immaculate suit, you know? And I'm like, is this really happening right now? Like, and then he came up and he's like, hey man, nice to meet you. And you're like, you do have that moment where you're kind of outside yourself.
Yep. Did you want to do the bass line? Did you want to go boom, 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 boom to him? Or?
Well, this is true. When you meet mega famous people, you're always thinking, don't mess it up. Don't do the thing that's going to make it awkward. So you're like, all these thoughts go through your mind, but you're like, no, don't do that. Don't do that. That's going to change it and make it weird. So I think I did the classic, like, yeah, so it was raining earlier, hey? He's like, yes, it was raining. I go, yeah, okay, it's a win. That's a good one.
There you go.
You know, like, am I going to try and make Jerry Seinfeld laugh?
No,
you know what I
no.
mean? It was just like, dude, stay in your lane. Don't get too weird. And then you also realize, like, you got a job to do. Like, we're both on this show. Yeah, like, they're here to see you primarily, but, like, I still have to go up and do my thing. So there's still your pregame prep and how you want to go about it. You don't want to get too, you know, up in the clouds kind of thing. But it was a really cool moment, man. And to meet them, because a lot of times you do these shows with bigger acts, you may never meet them. They might be in their own side of the festival or their own dressing room, and you don't ever cross paths and you never meet them. So I walk into these things now with no expectations. So to actually meet them was a pretty cool thing.
Well, that was my next question is, you know, do you always meet the person that you're opening for, or sometimes is there that divide? And, you know, I could imagine that maybe stings a little bit because, you know, you're there as well to entertain the crowd. And yes, the way that the bill is organized, they're on the top, but you have a job to do as well. And and people will leave remembering your act and you'll build up a new fan base as a result. So you don't always meet the people that you're working with.
No, there's no expectation. I think when you first start, you think, oh, well, I'm going to be on this show and this person will see me and my life will change. And it's like, you're in entertainment long enough. You're like, no, that's not going to happen. That's like, that may be a once in a lifetime thing where something changes someone's life in that regard kind of thing. But I also realize, like, I have my own career. I have my own thing that I'm building. So it's like, I also take that into consideration, you know? So the big goal for me is just to enjoy it, like get up there. Everyone's here to have a good time. They all want to enjoy what's going to happen. Whatever act's on the stage they want to enjoy. So just enjoy it. Just go up there and have a good time. And if you're having a good time, the audience ultimately does as well, right? So that's my mentality.
Absolutely. I think this is a good segment for my next question. So you were recently on tour, which part of that was filming your special Worry Muffins coming out soon. I find what fascinates me about comedians and the art of comedy, especially when you're on tour, is the repetition that you consistently have to do, and being able to lock in night after night to a group of new people that may not have heard your material before, but you've heard your material before. You maybe have said it a bunch of times, maybe the night before to a totally new group who reacted differently. I guess my question is, how do you sort of lock in and keep it fresh for you night after night when you're doing back-to-back performances to keep it fresh and deliver that same energy to every crowd so they're all getting the exact same top-end Trent McClellan that you want to give them?
Yeah, I think that's where the acting part comes in really quickly, because it's like you have to lock in to the sentiment of that thing you're talking about in that moment. So if you're frustrated in traffic and that's what the bit's about, you have to take yourself mentally to that moment when that was happening. So even though you're doing it in front of 1,000 people, you're going back in time to that moment so that it doesn't become robotic, it doesn't become just autopilot. So that's kind of the trick. Be in the moment so that you're there talking about what your topic is and you're feeling it. And the audience will feel that from you. They'll also feel if it's robotic. They'll also feel like you're just giving a speech here. We've all been to those keynote speeches where someone's just, you're just phoning it in. You don't care.
Oh,
this
yeah.
is like, yeah. And in the beginning, you're like, oh, God,
here we go.
this is. So for me, it's about, but also, again, another sports analogy, but it's like an athlete. Like, you're excited before you go on. There's a nervous energy. There's an excitement. You want to go out there and do the thing. So take that with you into the performance as well and let that come through you as well. So that's how I do it, you know.
You find like a lot of times too, like you might adjust, maybe you have a set plan, what you're going to do and say out there, but you kind of adjust based on the energy of the crowd and what they're being receptive to.
Yep.
You find that happens
Yeah,
quite a
for
bit?
sure. Because it's like waves hitting a beach, right? There's different heights of the waves. And so you're like, okay, well, that felt like this. And so they're giving me something and I'm giving them something. So it's like tennis back and forth, you know? But at the end of the day, I want to maintain a certain level of enthusiasm, a certain level of energy. And if they're not energetic yet, I don't want to go down there. I want to bring them to where I am, right? They're coming into my yard to play in my yard for the night. That's the way I treat it. It's my party, so I decide kind of what happens. So it's a little bit of that too, for sure. But for comedians in general, it's like you also have to listen. So for me, like a little thing I love to do is that like when you get a big laugh, you have to wait a few seconds. Like if you're playing for 10,000 people, it takes a long time for all the words to get out to the person who's at the top of Citadel Hill.
Right.
And to laugh, and for that laugh to come back to you. So it's not about just getting the words out that you came up to say. It's about listening for their response, waiting for the laughter to kind of dissipate to not quite zero, and then you say the next line. So there's a give and take the whole time. There's a bit of a dance going on, but that listening part is equally as important.
So there is a relationship between performer and audience?
For sure.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so you'll have audiences. When you first start stand-up, you're doing shows at 12 o'clock noon for people at a conference who don't want to be there. And then there's drunk people at a 10:30 show at a comedy club who are hammered and chatty. And then there's an older crowd who are like, I've never heard that word before. So like there's all these different kind of groups that you play over the course of your career. And so that's in the back of your mind. That's a Rolodex of experience in there that you can always go to like no matter what crowd you're in front of.
Let's transition to 22 minutes. So you're a cast member and a writer there. You've won 3 Canadian Screen Awards. Was that always a target? Like, how did that relationship come to be? I'm sure you're having a blast if you can talk to that as well. That show's moving at a very fast pace and everything's always fresh. So maybe tell us a bit about how that came to be and how working on that show differs maybe from typical comedy work and what you thought being a comedian would be like.
Right, yeah. For me, I grew up with 22 Minutes, so I'm from Newfoundland. So for us, it was just always on every week. And also, when you're a Newfoundlander, you don't get to see many Newfoundlanders make it to television, especially at that time. So to us, it was like, that's always the nudge in the ribs, like, he's from Newfoundland. Just so you know, he's from Newfoundland. Like, it was a big deal. If you're from Ontario or Toronto, you're probably like, yeah, like, what's the big deal? He's from Toronto. Who cares? But when you're a Newfoundlander and you get on television, it's a big deal to people in that province. So for me, it was always on. We got the humor. We got the lack of reverence there was for it. So that was always just there for me. Then when I became a comedian, I got offered to come and be a writer on the show for a couple of weeks. So they'll try out writers for little 2-week stints at a time. And I came and I had a good time. I got some stuff made. And then I came back the next year for a couple of weeks. So I was starting to build this rapport and seeing how the sausage was made, how the show actually works. And then this is fate for you. So I was doing a thing for the Amazing Race Canada years later. And there were 2 film students on set. And we're talking about the business. And I said, the thing you have to realize when you're in entertainment is a phone call or an email can change your life. It just can. You're going down this path, that email comes in or phone call, and boom, we're 180 and something else is happening now in your life. literally that day, my agent calls and goes, 22 Minutes is offered to make you a cast member on the show. And I was like, can you send that to me in an email? Because I can't quite process what you're saying.
Was that
She's
a
like,
pinch yourself moment?
yeah, it's like, you mean a writer? She goes, no, they want you to be a cast member. And I go, again, could you send the email? Because it's surreal to you. It's like, and then next thing you know, it's like, yeah, you're going to be a cast member in 22 Minutes. So it's, again, I go back to the kind of the astronaut analogy. It's like, how many people get to be an astronaut? How many people get to be on This Hour's 22 Minutes? So I still have that feeling quite often when I walk in the doors.
Is it real for you still?
Yeah, I mean,
Or
over
today's
time,
real?
over time, I mean, it becomes like, okay, this is your job, and you get to know everybody and how it all works. But you still realize that, like, you're in a very fortunate position. Like I said, not everyone gets to this point and has this opportunity to work with such talented people, crew-wise, set design, graphics, prop department, locations managers. Like, everyone's moving to make you look good. Ultimately, everyone's doing, makeup. We have a hair department, but I don't need it. But you know what I mean? Some wigs
Show
from
up
time to time.
10 minutes later, or than
Exactly.
everyone else?
I said to Mark all the time, he's got to come in early to get one of those ball caps on, to do like Peter Mansbridge or something.
yeah.
I go, dude, shave your head, you'll get 2 hours extra sleep.
You're
He's
all
like,
good.
no, I'm not doing it. So yeah, you realize, like, man, we're riding lightning here. 32 years on the air. It's my
Insane.
8th season, but the show has been on 32 years. I mean, yeah, you have days that are a grind like anything else. There's long days where it's 12, 13 hours, but also, man, look what we do for a living. We're making people laugh and making people happy. It's like,
Don't we need that? Yeah,
I'll take
right,
it. Yeah, I'll take it.
So I want to ask another question about 22 Minutes, and this is more on the acting side of it. That's where my intrigue really lies, because it is comedy and unbelievable sketches. That's where I go into. You have to play multiple characters a day, a week. Sometimes in a morning you could play 3 different characters. Right? You're banging it out and you're switching, and it's like, okay, on to the next new character. My question, I guess, is how do you approach that from an acting standpoint? Is it more like each of these characters, you kind of segregate them as their own characters and give it your own twist? Or is it more like, okay, here's the scene, I'm going to act out. This is how Trent McClellan would take on this situation. I'm going to, in this form of a character, go. Like, how do you approach multiple characters so back to back?
Yeah, I think sometimes, if you were on a sitcom, for example, and you were on Friends, and you're like, oh, I just get to play Chandler every day. I'm Chandler. I know this guy. This is who he is. Our show, as you said, I could be 6 different people in a week, none of which you may have played before. So ultimately, you're going to have to draw from your own human experience what you can insert from your own life into that thing. Sometimes they're absolutely absurd, and you're like, there's nothing I can find that's like a crossover thread into my own life. But that's fun to kind of create as well. But the other thing is, it's so done. So you do it for 3 hours, you're done, you're in a makeup chair, you change your clothes, now you're wearing this other costume, and now that's forgotten about, and we're on to the next thing. So there's no time to be precious. There's no time to overthink it. It's like, we do it, you make some choices, and boom, we're moving on, And then that's just our side of it. We're not getting to direct it. We're not getting to edit it. We're not getting to do graphics and decide what cuts and what angles were used. So you're just this one part of a bigger machine. And then you do it, and then you're done with it, and you move on to the next thing. So it gets easier over time. But when you first start, you're like, whoa, I wouldn't mind doing that again. It's like, we don't have time to do that again.
No.
We're moving on to the next thing. It'll be fine. We're good. And so the machine moves so fast.
And you wouldn't be given much notice, because I guess, a lot of the sketches you guys will do are based on real events and then things that are happening in the world. So you might only find out a day or two before, I'm guessing, where you'd actually know, here's what we're acting out. Not a ton of time to prep. You're like, okay, here we go. Bang.
Yeah, exactly. And so Wednesday, you'll find out what's getting made on Thursday and Friday, which is when we film sketches on Thursday, Fridays. Wednesday, we find out. So the next day, we're filming, it could be a period piece where it's in the 1800s, and you're like, we just found this out 14 hours ago. So I always think, wow, poor me, I got to learn this thing. Think about the wardrobe department.
Oh, true, yeah.
Think about the makeup department. Think about the props department. Think about set design who are like, you want a castle by 9:30 tomorrow morning? It's like, we're going to need that. And they do it. And some of it never makes the air. Like the other thing, all this work put into something that we hope works well, but it may not, and no one will ever see it.
Yeah.
It's one of those deals. So everyone's putting their log on the fire, so to speak,
And you've got an abundance of material with everything happening in the world right now, and domestically here in Canada. And whereas we don't make this in any way a political podcast, but What do you see your responsibility as? Because we as normal people turn to comedy to escape, and you and the people you work with are some of the few people that can provide that escape. So when times get tough, and the pandemic is probably the last recent example, what is your place as a comedian in that? Because you do have this magic ability to help us forget what we're going through, and even if it's just for a couple of minutes on a weekend, or it's a show in a comedy club, just get that escape.
Yeah, it's interesting. I've noticed a change in the last, say, 2 years, I'd say, is that more and more people come up to me and other cast members and say stuff like, thank you for the show. Thank you for what you do, as opposed to, I really enjoy it or I really like it. It's almost like, hey, we needed that. And I think particularly during the pandemic, when the world was upside down and very uncertain, our show was still on television. So people knew that even though everything else was uncertain and upside down, they knew Tuesday nights they could still turn on the TV and we would be there with some take on it, with some level of brevity with it, some some fun with it, some silliness. And I think people really appreciated that because they needed some kind of rope to hold on to during those uncertain times. And it's not to pat myself on the back as a comedian, but I do feel you are providing a service that I think a lot of people need. I mean, I've had people come to stand-up shows and go, hey, man, I just lost my dad 2 months ago and been going through a really rough time. And my wife and I went to your show. We haven't been out in a while. Thank you so much, And you're like, you don't think about that quite often because you're in your own little world with your own material and stuff. But I often think about something that Bruce Springsteen says to the E Street Band before they go on stage every night. He gathers everyone in a huddle and he goes, this is someone's first time seeing us, and this is someone's last time seeing us. So whatever you're going through, we leave it here, we go up the stairs, we do the business. And I always think about that before I go on stage. Whatever you're going through personally, people have come, they've paid their hard-earned money, they want to come and laugh at 8 o'clock, go do the thing, And I think that's really important. Because to me, the fact that stand-up comedy or comedy in general still exists as a profession in an era of cell phones and Netflix and distraction, the fact that people are going to sit in a seat for an hour and change and be quiet with no phone and just watch you speak your thoughts and share your ideas with the idea of just giving you their full attention, it's crazy that still exists as a profession in this era.
Well, that's the magic of it, is Netflix will always be there, YouTube will always be there, but you on stage or a band on stage or a theater won't be.
Right.
It comes and goes. So you have to put the stuff aside that you can access on demand. That's always been my wife and I's take on things, is if something comes to the city, we should go. Because everything else we consume, we can do 2:35 in the morning on a Sunday if we want to.
Yep.
But if somebody's going to be on stage on the 15th of August at 8 o'clock for 90 minutes, well, you have to show up. And that actually leads me perfectly to the Halifax Comedy Festival, which you're very heavily involved with and is coming up. We're on the cusp of that. What should we be getting excited about this year? I'm sure there's lots.
Yeah, 30 years, a 30-year anniversary of the Halifax Fest. So it's like, some heavy hitters are coming back again this year. Halifax, too, is such a comedy town. Like, they support every single show that comes through this city, whether it's on tour. The festival itself, as you know, there's massive shows that are at the Spats Theater, which amazing galas, stuff at the Lighthouse Theater as well. But then there's like the lower deck afternoon shows where it's like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. You're like, who's coming to a comedy show at 2 o'clock in the afternoon? And I walk in and the place is already packed. They're like, awesome. Yeah, let's go. It's like, got pints going. It's already on wheels.
Awesome. There's no prime drinking hour here in the Maritimes.
No,
that's the thing.
They're like, is it open yet? Just try the door.
Yep.
Like, it's going to be fine. So it's like, it's such a unique festival and the city gets behind it. They're so excited. And again, all the people that come out to the shows are so excited to be out. And just, there's something about a shared experience. I think, like, further to your point, it's a human experience to sit in a room with strangers, people you don't know, and everyone laugh at the same moment. That's magic. That's like, you feel connected to humanity. You feel like we're not all that different. Yeah, we might have different political stripes, or you might have had a different upbringing than I do, but we all got that joke in that moment and we all laughed at the same time.
Yeah.
And I think Halifax Fest is one of the greatest examples of that.
In wrapping this up, I mentioned your special a couple times. Could you briefly tell us when that special is coming out, a little bit about it maybe, and how people can watch it, and then sort of what's next for you?
Yeah, for sure. My special is called Worry Muffins. It comes out on May 1st on YouTube. We put a lot of love into it, a lot of work into it. It's the culmination of a couple of years of material of stuff that I've been doing on stage. If you see me on tour, on the Dirt Road Kid tour or whatever, and then some newer stuff that I've been working on as well. And I wanted to like just double down, make a really, really good production, and have it so that people can watch it in the comfort of their own home and do it for free, so that they don't have to go to a streamer. They can just go onto YouTube and watch it. And it's kind of my thank you back to people who've bought tickets to my shows over the years, but had to go try and tell my jokes to people instead. Like, and then he said this thing about muffins, and I don't quite remember it. But anyway, it's like butchering my act behind my back. Yeah. So it's like now you actually can just go to YouTube and share the lingo. Here it is. This is what he said. Yeah. And we're really proud of it, man. We put a lot of work into it. Pulled a lot of the crew from 22 Minutes who came over and helped produce the thing for me at the filmed it at the Strug concert hall here in Halifax, and really, really proud of it. It looks amazing, and I think folks are really, really going to enjoy it. So May 1st, it's up on YouTube, on my YouTube channel. So
that's coming up quickly. And where can people find you?
They can find me.
Home address is right.
My home address, guys. Currently, I'm residing. Halifax Festival, obviously, folks can see me there. I think May 7th to the 10th, I do believe, of May. And then I'm taking some time off. I am getting married this summer, folks.
Hey,
so
congratulations.
she's like, "Hey, you done being funny? And then maybe we can get some stuff sorted."
Are you funny to your fiance, or
I am, but
you are okay?
As you know, there is a place and a time. And I mean, you got to know that place and you got to know that time, and you can't get it wrong or it makes things worse. So, but she's also very, very funny and makes me laugh. Awesome. And I do get, in the special itself, there's some stuff from the relationship that I pull into the act. Good. So that's been approved, just so you know. It's all been approved. It's all got
does it take a lot to support a comedian? And we all say, and I say it, and Alec does with Jenna, our spouses are our biggest advocates and everything else. But it's it's not the typical career path that a fiance or later a spouse expects to support, right?
Yeah, I mean, when she met me, obviously this is what I was doing, so she kind of understood. But she also has her own big career. She has her own company. She has her own podcast. She does keynote speaking. She's doing her PhD. Like, she has a life too that's not traditional per se. So I think,
two underachievers here, clearly. Look at you both.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we're both just sitting around. But I think she gets the uncertainty of this life also. The distance is hard at times because she's in Calgary and I'm in Halifax a lot, but we make it work and we plan properly and schedule our time the best we can. But I think when you find that person who goes like, "Oh, this is your passion, this is what you do," and she's following her passion as well, which I think is really important because they get it. They understand, like, no, I understand this is a compulsion. Like, you're pulled along by this, just as she is with her world. That's why it works, I think, ultimately.
Absolutely. Amazing. Well, best of luck.
Thank you so much.
Exciting times ahead.
Appreciate it.
Well, thank you for coming on today. We really appreciate it. Appreciate your time. This was great. And thanks for coming again.
Thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it. It was fun.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you once again for tuning in to the Matter of Fax podcast.
But you can get more of us. You can subscribe on any good podcast provider. You can follow us on Instagram at Matter of Fax Podcast. And for all that great feedback and abuse, you can send it by email to halifaxpodcast@gmail.com.
And of course, you can always find James Collins and I on the internet.
Please do get in touch, and we look forward to seeing you next time.